Hey guys, all right, if you chose the fox, it is time to take our practice fox and move it on to final paper. So I'm on my thinnest drawing paper. I'm not on my watercolor paper or my tag board. I'm on that thinner paper, but it is a separate sheet. We are working out of our sketchbook. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to split our paper in half vertically and horizontally, nice and light, barely see it. You don't need to, you're going to measure with your eyes. You're measuring, but you're measuring with your eyes and not a ruler. This just helps us remember kind of keep everything as roughly in place as possible so we know what we're talking about when we're drawing. We're going to start with that football shape, okay? Remember that our football on the bottom is going to be a little skinnier than our football towards the top. And we're going to go pretty close to the edge of the paper, making the head of our fox nice and wide. Okay, then for our top, we're going to balloon it out a little bit more. Little more curvature to the head. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to place in those ears. Okay, kind of pointing them directly towards the corners, that rounded curve to the point. Trying to make them as symmetrical as possible as you work, okay? All right, looks like my left ear is a little taller than my right ear. I'm going to go ahead and extend my my right ear a little bit. And then erase out the old line. Okay, let's go ahead and put in our shoulders so they're there. I'm going to make them a little wider than I did. I think I made them a touch skinny here. Have him fill up a little bit more of the paper at the bottom. Good. All right, and now we are going to put in our detail work. So we're going to start with those lines that kind of lead to our nose. Actually, you know what? Let's put in our nose first because that's easy. Right in the middle, that rounded triangle that just barely goes past the bottom edge of the face. Okay, and then if you want to shade that in quick, you can. It will be Sharpied later. Okay, from there, then we're going to go ahead and do those curved lines. This time I'm going to go from my nose to my ear. Same thing on the other side. Trying to keep it as symmetrical as you can. Coming back to your nose. Okay, all right, and then we're going to go ahead and add in our eyeballs. And in our practice drawing, we did not fill them in. We will fill them in this time, kind of like we just filled in the nose. But we're going to leave a small highlight in each one before we shade it in. And don't press hard with your pencil. You're almost just shading it in just to mark that that's where the Sharpie's going to go. We don't want to push our pencil so hard that we make indentations in our paper. Nice and light, gentle shading. There we go. All right, and then the last thing we need to do, and our fox is looking pretty good, is we are going to add in those fur details that we added over here. So remember, if we're going to the left, the fur needs to point to the left. If we're going to the right, the fur needs to point to the right. And then erase out the leftovers. And I didn't really do that the first time, so we definitely want to make sure we get that done so we know which line to trace eventually with our Sharpie. Okay. All right, and then we've got, we got to do our ears, and then we've got to do that line in between our ears. I did forget that. Just adding a little texture to our ears. Nothing major. And then I got to add that line inside. So parallel shape to the ears. And now I can go back in and kind of erase out those original lines so that just the furry parts remain as much as possible. And then I can go back and erase more after I Sharpie too. Okay. All right, and then last thing is the upward marks from the side. So I'm going to try to make them a little bit more variegated or different. And then I want to erase those side lines to the side of the head. All right, that is our fox, so I can go in and I can erase out the original grid lines that I had put in for measuring. They can go bye-bye. And we are done. We are ready for the next step. We're not quite at the sharpening phase. We have one more thing to do with pencil, and then we'll get there. All right, guys, have a good one.